Ladies and gentlemen, gather round because the political sitcom known as Canada's 2025 federal election just got its latest plot twist. And oh boy, it's better than Netflix. This week, a federal judge didn't just toss a legal pebble into the pond, they dropped a judicial cannonball. Boom. A bombshell ruling has shaken the very maple syrup-soaked core of Canadian democracy, triggering recounts across the country. That's right. After what Mark Banker and Chief Carney called a decisive victory, turns out his so-called win might be as legitimate as a diploma from Clown University. Welcome to Recount Palua 2025, featuring Mark Carney's slow-motion faceplant and Pierre Poilievre's glorious rise from coast to coast. Let's set the scene, shall we? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Mark Carney is grinning ear to ear. Champagne flutes are clinking in some liberal HQ echo chamber. And journalists are fawning over his historic win like he's the second coming of Laurier. Except wait, what's this? Oh dear, recounts in 11 writings. Yes, you heard that right, 11, and that number is growing faster than a liberal talking point during a scandal. Apparently, Elections Canada, that once revered bureaucratic behemoth, has been running the election process with all the precision of a toddler finger painting on a spreadsheet. Ballots miscounted, postal codes wrong, ghost votes dancing through advanced polls like it's Halloween in July. Honestly, if you replace the entire Elections Canada staff with a colony of over-caffeinated raccoons, I doubt we'd see a noticeable dip in performance. Now enter the honorable judge, armed with a gavel and common sense, calling for judicial recounts and not just one or two as a formality. We're talking nationwide. Newfoundland's Terra Nova under review, Windsor-Tecumseh recounted and flipped, East Halton Hills, suspicious liberal surge under scrutiny. Montreal, Carney's own backyard is being combed over with a legal microscope. We're not dealing with comfortable margins here, folks. We're talking razor-thin under 10-vote difference margins. It's not an election, it's a coin toss with international consequences. Let's talk Terra Nova. 1. Yes, 1. Miscounted ballot flipped the outcome. 1. I've seen less drama in a game of Monopoly, someone quipped. Better count one more time, might flip again, and they're not wrong. We've got recounts reversing results like it's some political Uno game. Reverse skip, back to the Conservatives. Meanwhile, Pierre Poilievre is calmly sipping his coffee while watching Mark Carney spiral like a malfunctioning Roomba. Speaking of Pierre, let's pause and give the man his due. Pierre Poilievre, Canada's political pit bull, policy nerd, and liberty-loving rock star, has been warning about institutional rot and delight arrogance for years. And look where we are now. He stood in front of roaring crowds, 15,000 strong in Alberta, while the media claimed only 3 people would show up. Spoiler alert, those 3 people brought the thunder. Meanwhile, Carney couldn't fill a minivan without bribing them with quinoa and climate pledges. And what does Pierre say about all this chaos? Cool, collected, and cutting. If Mark Carney can't even secure his own seat without controversy, how can he run the country? Boom. Mic drop. Someone hand Carney a fire extinguisher because that roast came with first-degree burns. Now, about Carney. Oh, Mark. Sweet, polished, overhyped Mark Carney. The man was sold to us as a walking economic savior, a former Bank of England governor, a Harvard grad, the liberal messiah who would usher in an era of competent adult governance. And what does he do? He face plants into a pile of miscounted ballots, fraudulent votes, and voter ID failures so bad they make third-world elections look like Swiss precision clockwork. Let's dig into his own writing in Montreal, no less, under judicial recount because of, brace yourself, mail-in ballot irregularities, advanced polling inconsistencies, and ballots being counted outside legal deadlines. I mean, how do you mess this up? You're the technocrat, the guy who's supposed to know how to use Excel. You're the banker, for crying out loud. Yet here we are watching your electoral math go full kindergarten. Maybe next time try counting with your fingers and toes. But wait, it gets better, or worse, depending on your proximity to a Liberal campaign office. Windsor to come was initially called for the Liberals with a 77-vote margin. Carney's camp probably started planning the victory dance, but after the recount, oops, Conservatives win by 4 votes. That's not just a recount, that's a political plot twist worthy of a Christopher Nolan movie. Over in East Halton Hills, Elections Canada had to investigate a suspicious surge in Liberal support during advance polls. No demographic change, no increase in turnout trends, just a sudden poof, a magical balloon of Liberal votes out of thin air. I mean, unless Hogwarts opened a polling station, this is shady. Even Dumbledore would be raising an eyebrow. Then there's Vancouver South. The Liberals won by just 56 votes, but reports say the number of ballots doesn't even match the number of actual voters. Ghost votes, zombie ballots. Someone call Scooby-Doo, because this mystery needs solving and fast. And Halifax, oh Halifax, ballots allegedly misfiled, as in from entirely different districts. Imagine mailing your rent check to someone else's landlord and expecting your apartment not to be padlocked. But in Liberal Canada, that's just strategic governance. Folks, this isn't a fluke. This is systemic rot. We're not talking about isolated clerical errors. We're looking at ballots without valid IDs, seals missing, improper chains of custody, and mislabeled boxes. This isn't democracy. This is a high-stakes episode of Whose Ballot Is It Anyway? Let's not forget the Quebec humiliation. A writing flipped because someone messed up a postal code. 1 vote. That's right, 1. The fate of a federal seat changed by someone mistaking H2X for H3A. If this was a joke, it would still be too absurd for SNL. But it's real, and it's unraveling the entire election. And through all this, where is Mark Carney? Nowhere. No press conferences, no accountability, no transparency. The man who claimed he'd lead with dignity and openness is hiding behind ghost-written statements and pre-recorded interviews. His communication strategy right now is less leadership and more witness protection program. He's probably stress-refreshing LinkedIn, looking for a cushy return to international banking because clearly national politics is a bit too spicy for Mr. Spreadsheet. Meanwhile, Pierre Poilievre is crushing it. He's not just seizing the moment, he's owning the narrative. Every new recount, every judicial review, every ballot box scandal proves him right. Canadians, long asleep under a liberal fog of media worship and bureaucratic inertia, are waking up to a simple truth. Pierre was right. The system is broken. And Carney, he's just the latest malfunctioning cog. Let's talk about the chaos inside Liberal HQ. Internally, it's a disaster movie. The polling numbers are in free fall. The media narrative is collapsing. And Liberal MPs from recount written writings, they're livid. Imagine being a backbencher working your tail off, only to watch your credibility incinerated by Carney's incompetence. You knocked doors for this. You printed flyers for this. You're out here facing angry constituents with questions you can't answer while your leader hides like a cat during fireworks season. And oh, the staff leaks. Trudeau's old crew is now anonymously pointing fingers at Carney's new team. According to insiders, it's a full-scale meltdown. Blame-shifting, internal rage, and strategic confusion. Carney promised order. He delivered disaster. The Liberals wanted a fresh start. Instead, they got a bureaucratic bonfire. This, my friends, is what happens when you try to replace charisma with credentials. When you mistake a polished CV for leadership, when you think managing an economy on paper is the same as managing a democracy on the ground. Mark Carney walked in with all the confidence of a Wall Street wizard and promptly got pantsed by a few miscounted ballots and a judge with a functioning moral compass. The irony, Carney still hasn't spent a full day in Parliament. The man's political resume is as thin as the margins in his recounts, yet he was sold as the Liberal future, the great fixer, the responsible adult. Turns out the only thing he fixed was the Liberals' trajectory. Straight into the wall. So where does that leave us? With judicial recount sweeping the nation, Elections Canada facing scrutiny like never before, and a Conservative leader who looks more and more like the next Prime Minister with every passing day. Pierre Poilievre didn't just survive this election chaos, he's thriving in it. While Carney plays hide-and-seek with accountability, Pierre's out here talking to Canadians, showing up, answering questions, leading like a man who actually wants the job. So, let's ask the obvious question. Is this Canada's biggest election disaster ever? Or is it just the political unraveling of Mark Carney in real time? Either way, get your popcorn ready, because this recount circus is far from over. And the only thing clearer than the judicial rulings is that Carney's political honeymoon has turned into a full-blown annulment. Let us know in the comments. Is Carney toast? Is Pierre our next PM? Is Elections Canada just winging it with dice and dartboards? Hit that like button, subscribe for more political fireworks, and share this video with every Canadian wondering why their ballot had more drama than a Netflix thriller. Because friends, if democracy dies in darkness, well, Canada's 2025 election just turned on the disco.